This courtroom hearing takes a dramatic turn when a probationer walks in already knowing he's about to fail a drug test. The moment his attorney admits the screen will come back positive for both marijuana and meth, the judge's reaction says it all. Her tone shifts from routine to serious, making it clear that this is not just another minor violation. The defendant had already been given a second chance after serious felony charges, including assault with a dangerous weapon and firearm-related offenses. At one point, he had managed to stay clean, and the court believed he was finally on the right path. But now, standing in front of the judge again, he admits he's fallen back into drug use. As the hearing continues, the judge questions him about his choices, his missed payments, and the excuses he offers. He claims his work hours were reduced and even says the drugs were a birthday gift, a statement that only deepens the judge's frustration. She makes it clear that probation is an opportunity, not a free pass, and that continuing to use drugs shows a lack of responsibility. The judge then reviews his past charges, reminding him of the seriousness of the case that put him on probation in the first place. Her message is direct. Addiction is real, but ignoring the rules and the court's orders puts both the defendant and the public at risk. In the end, she delivers her ruling. The defendant is sentenced to 15 days in jail, with no credit for time served. However, there's one final condition. If he passes a drug test at booking, 10 of those days will be held in abeyance. If not, he'll serve the full sentence. It's a clear warning that the court expects real change, not more excuses. The hearing ends with a powerful reminder about accountability, second chances, and the serious consequences that follow when someone refuses to take probation seriously.
In regard to the matter then, did you have a chance to go over the resentencing recommendations with Mr. Capel?
I did, Your Honor. There's nothing of a factual nature that we need to address in there. I did talk to Mr. Capel about his payments. He's indicated that he was planning on paying with his taxes. I think he has some financial difficulties due to being in and out of work. So I think he's trying to catch up on some back bills and putting the court on the back burner, so to speak. Advised him that's not a good idea. Even paying $5 a week would make an impression on the court. So I think he'll try and do better going forward. With regard to the drug screen today, he advises me that he will not pass the drug screen. And
in what respect are we not going to pass?
Said he was going to be positive for marijuana and meth.
Well, I think that's a real good reason, Mr. Capel, to start looking at why you can't make any probation cost payments. You're spending it all on meth. Anyway, go ahead, Ms. Schaub. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Your Honor, he was honest with me that he would not pass. I discussed with him where he got it, and he apparently said it was a gift. But obviously, given his circumstances, that was not a wise choice. But he does have a full-time job. If he goes to jail for 15 days, I don't know if that job will be available when he gets out of jail. So I don't know what the court wants to do with Mr. Capel. I don't know how. I had notes prior to his pleading to this that he had been testing clean and doing what he was supposed to do, but apparently he's gotten a little bit off track. I'm hoping the court will give him one more break and not put him in jail today.
Thank you. Mr. Capel, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I work at hometown right now. We're reduced to winter hours.
What?
We're reduced hours right now because it's the slow season. So I'm only getting like 32-ish. a week, so it's like $500 a paycheck, roughly give or take after taxes. But I should have enough to pay for, if not half, majority of the court costs that I owe. Because of 4 seasons, I clocked enough hours, I think. I'm just waiting on the W-2. SE. I worked there for 2 days.
Well, Mr. Capel, anything else you'd like to add?
May should go back to regular hours, so I'll have a lot better time.
How long have you been there?
Since July.
And what are you working now then?
Well, it's a rotating schedule, so it's 8 to 4 with Wednesday off, and then the Saturday off for my work camp, and then it's 9 to 4 or 9 to 5 with Wednesday off, and then I work that Saturday 8 to 1. That's if I don't get sent home early, because we have a high school kid that comes in about 3:30. I usually let him get a couple hours for the end of the day there.
Well, I have some serious concerns here. This was an underlying felony, Mr. Capel. You had 2 charges of assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault, felony firearm, reckless use of a firearm, and it was a very troubling underlying situation. In a dating relationship, argument the day before, pushed her on several occasions. Victim and another victim were present in the apartment. You became upset, retrieved a revolver from your bedroom, brandished the revolver, and demanded everyone leave the apartment. That was pled down by the prosecutor's office. You ended up pleading on a domestic violence, an assault and battery, and a reckless use of a firearm, all in misdemeanor court. That you were placed on probation for in January of 2023. Your bond condition, sir, where you were not supposed to be using marijuana or other types of controlled substances that weren't prescribed to you way back in November of 2022. That was put into place. That continued when you were sentenced in January of 2023. In regard to the matter, then, we've had several blips with your probation, and then most recently, what you're being sentenced for today was on September 20th, you had a positive for methamphetamine. Here we are in January of 2024, and your lawyer is telling me you're still going to be positive. I lowered your payment to $100 a month starting back then in October, and you still haven't made any payments because from what it seems like to me, the money's going out the door. Maybe you've got less hours, but you have not. How do you justify purchasing methamphetamine? You can't. And maybe it was a gift, maybe it wasn't, but now we got September and January on top of everything else going on here. It sounds to me from the behavior that was demonstrated at the underlying charge, you had probably some meth going on that day and an inability to control your anger due to the ingestion of meth. It does not do good things to people. You're lucky you didn't kill somebody. That's ridiculous. Now you come in here telling me I can't go to jail, judge, because I'm going to lose my job and I value my job. If you valued your job, you wouldn't have been doing meth. You know you're being watched. I mean, how bad of a problem do you have when you know you're being watched? You're coming in to get sentenced for violating your probation for using meth, and you come in here dirty for meth. That's not my problem. That's your problem. That's a big problem. That's what you're telling me. Red flags going up all over. Problem. Can't even control my behavior enough when I know I'm going to go to court and get sentenced. So I am sorry, Mr. Capel. Sometimes we are our own worst enemies, aren't we? I don't know what to tell you here, but this is absolutely ridiculous.
Give me 3 weeks, I can guarantee.
She's not worried about the payment. She's worried about you dealing
I
with
can guarantee clean UA, and then I'll guarantee everyone after that to be clean.
Yeah, well, you should have been doing that all along, Mr. Capel. So this is where you're at today. I'm going to continue your probation. If you can't establish clean testing, get used to the bunk rack over there, because that's where you'll be back. Your outstanding balance is $795. I will allow that continued payment to commence 30 days after his release from jail. Recommence.
That was $17.95, Your Honor.
What did I say?
$7.
$17.95. I'm not gonna assess another attorney fee. We'll take that off of there.
Can I get a report date?
I'm going to order 15 days in jail, 0 days credit. I will hold 10 days in abeyance if you successfully pass a drug screen today at booking. If you don't, you will serve the 15 days commencing immediately. You are still required to attend the divert counseling program. You can continue attending that. So, Mr. Capel, if you can't pass the screen today, you're going to be sitting your 15 days.
And
Can't get a
then
check-in date, so.
No, it's right now.
when you
Right now.
get out of jail, you check in with your probation officer as soon as possible.
Right now, Mr. Capel, you made this bad yourself. Think about it. You got 15 nights to think about it.
Sign and then he'll take you down to probation.
He is going to jail, right?
Yes, he's going to jail either for 5 days or 15, depending on him. So if you test clean, you'll be out in time to go to work on Monday. That key is in your hands. I can't do anything about it. In regard to the matter, that's that. Did you understand your appeal rights then, Mr. Capel?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
The courtroom is quiet as the hearing begins, but there's a tension in the air that everyone can feel. The defendant, Mr. Capel, is already on probation for serious felony offenses, and today he's back in front of the judge because something has gone wrong. Very wrong. Even before the formalities are finished, his own attorney makes a blunt admission to the court. The defendant will not pass a drug screen. He has tested positive for both marijuana and meth. The judge pauses, clearly stunned by what she just heard. Her expression changes, and the tone of the hearing shifts instantly. What might have been a routine probation review suddenly becomes a serious conversation about responsibility, choices, and consequences. She looks directly at the defendant and asks him to explain himself. Her voice carries both frustration and disbelief. She reminds him that probation is not a punishment, it's an opportunity. It's a chance to stay out of jail, to rebuild a life, and to show the court that he can follow the rules. But that opportunity comes with conditions, and one of the most basic conditions is to stay clean. Testing positive for drugs, especially meth, sends the exact opposite message. The judge goes back over his history. She recalls the serious charges that brought him into the system in the first place: assault with a dangerous weapon, felonious assault, and firearm-related offenses connected to a domestic incident. These were not small mistakes. These were charges that could have kept him behind bars for a long time. Instead, he was given a chance to serve probation. A chance to prove that he could change. For a while, it seemed like he was doing exactly that. The judge notes that he had previously been clean. He had shown some progress. There were signs that he was getting his life back on track. But now, standing in front of the court again, that progress appears to have slipped away. The defendant tries to explain. He says his work hours were cut, and that's why he hasn't been able to keep up with payments. He mentions stress, money problems, and then offers a statement that catches everyone's attention. He says the drugs were a birthday gift. The courtroom falls silent for a moment. The judge's frustration becomes even more visible. She questions him about that explanation, making it clear that accepting drugs, no matter the reason, is still a violation. A gift doesn't make it legal. A gift doesn't make it acceptable. And a gift certainly doesn't excuse breaking the rules of probation. She leans forward and speaks firmly, explaining that probation requires effort and discipline. It requires making difficult choices, especially when life gets stressful. Instead of using drugs, he should have been focused on staying clean, finding stable work, and meeting his obligations to the court. The judge talks about how addiction is a serious issue, but she also emphasizes accountability. The court cannot ignore repeated violations, especially when someone has already been given a second chance after serious felony charges. Public safety is always a priority, and the court has to balance compassion with responsibility. She tells him that the court believed in him at one point. The court gave him an opportunity that many people in his position never get. But opportunities can be lost when someone stops taking the process seriously. Each violation chips away at the court's trust, and eventually, there comes a point where consequences have to follow. The defendant listens quietly as the judge continues. She explains that probation is not just about avoiding jail. It's about showing the court, and the community, that he can live responsibly. Passing drug tests, making payments, following rules, these are the basics. Without those, probation loses its purpose. She reminds him that every decision he makes affects his future. One bad choice can undo months of progress. One moment of weakness can lead right back to the courtroom. And now, that's exactly where he is. After reviewing everything, the failed drug test, the excuses, the missed obligations, and the seriousness of his past charges, the judge prepares to give her ruling. The courtroom grows quiet again as everyone waits for the decision. She announces that he will serve 15 days in jail. There will be no credit for time already served. The sentence is meant to be a consequence, a wake-up call, and a reminder that probation violations are taken seriously. But then she adds one final condition. If he can pass a drug test at booking, 10 of those days will be held in abeyance. That means he would only serve 5 days instead of the full 15. It's one last opportunity, even at this late stage, to show that he can take responsibility. If he fails the test, though, he will serve the entire sentence. No reductions. No exceptions. The judge's message is clear. The court is willing to give chances, but those chances come with expectations. When someone refuses to take the steps needed to stay clean and follow the rules, the consequences become unavoidable. As the hearing concludes, the defendant is left facing the reality of his situation. What could have been a path toward stability and freedom has turned into another trip to jail, all because of choices that went against the conditions he agreed to follow. The courtroom falls silent again, but the message of the hearing lingers. Probation is an opportunity, not a guarantee. And every decision, no matter how small it seems, can shape the outcome in the end.